All right. Thanks, everybody.
Meeting is being recorded.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for popping on tonight. We are recording this session, and tonight's session is a little focus on our artists in residence. And I know it is, we are nearing the eve of Thanksgiving, and people are starting to travel. There are also some illnesses floating around. I don't think anything major, but I've had a couple of people pop or contact me today and say they aren't feeling quite up to it. But we're going to record this and we're going to make it available, and I think we'll have some good conversation as well, focusing on our artists in residence. Now, you were again with the Year of the Artist. We're working in two different ways, really. You know, we're doing these lots of little projects through the Art Matters grants. And then we're also doing the Artist in Residence program, and the Artist in Residence program is different. You know, the Art Matters grants folks come to us with a project and say, "Hey, I can do this to advance justice, wellness, and inclusion in the community," and so come to us with a project already in mind. And of course, with the Artist in Residence, they're embedding, they're asking questions, they're kind of looking at how government works. Whether governmental department or an allied nonprofit organization, and in some cases things aren't moving as quickly as we'd like them to, and so we're learning lots of lessons that way as well. But those are the two ways we're working, kind of lots of little project based, and then the artists in residence digging in, asking questions, and then developing a project. So some of the projects will be developed in the spring. But even though we might not be at the project stage yet, or just starting on that phase, we thought it'd be great to meet the artists in residence tonight. And both of these programs and processes are doing something we think is really important, and that is modeling the way. So artists are in the community. They are saying, "Hey, I can make a difference, and here's how I'm going to try and do it. I might not know how to do it. I'm going to learn as I'm doing it." And by doing this, we are showing other people how they can do it. And I think this is going to be fairly contagious, at least we hope it is. And as we're doing this, we're lessening the distance between people and the government. And so that's really at the heart of this. And this is arts-based community engagement. We're advancing community goals. We're integrating artists in civic problem solving. We're exploring and experimenting. We're paying artists, strengthening the network, and we're connecting. We're connecting to each other. We're connecting to parts of the community we didn't know existed. Hopefully, we're connecting different parts of the city to each other. Hopefully, this connection is going to just grow and grow and grow. And one of our themes broadly in the community, we've been partnering with arts and cultural organizations across the community and talking about kind of arts connect. And I think in the next couple of years, that's going to be kind of a tagline or a theme, especially as we say, yes, the arts are critical and help us, understand what it means to be human. And they engage us in so many different ways. But we're also specifically looking at those intersections of the arts and economic development, the arts and environmental quality, the arts and justice, the arts and education. I think I said that, or the arts and wellness and healthcare. So we're going to be, the next few years, we're going to keep digging into that. And so part of that digging into is we like to have an arts and cultural plan that says, "Hey, this is what the arts are doing for us." We are experimenting right now. We are building this plan. We are in an very involved, hands-on community planning process. We said, we don't know what it means to really have the arts work for us in these ways. Why don't we get artists engaged and let them show us? So that's what we're doing right now. Hopefully we're doing it and having a lot of fun as we do it. And I think we're going to hear about some fun projects tonight. Even if we're tackling very important, critical issues, that we can do it with a sense of joy and have kind of a sense of play about it. And most of all, we're building a learning community, and we're doing this together. So we wanted to start. We've lost a couple of people recently, and we wanted to start with some acknowledgement of that, and a kind of little sharing. And Catherine, I want to ask you. Catherine volunteered and wanted to bring this to us. So, Catherine.
Yeah, I'm here, and I think that's a perfect segue to go from having fun and play and thinking of and remembering Bill Sorry, because of all the things that people have shared about Bill over the last couple of days, since if you didn't already have the chance to meet him or know him, but he passed away unexpectedly, very quickly and sadly on Saturday. And it's been a shock to our community, primarily because, of course, the pandemic, and there was a lot of isolation and people have been out of touch. So there was no awareness that even for many people that he was even having any kind of health issue. So I just want to say one thing, talking to a good friend to me, it's been a couple of days of reaching out to people from all over and people reaching out to me, remembering Bill. And always with, some funny story, some goofy thing that he did, some unexpectedly quirky remark or conversation that they'd had with him. So I think I just will say one thing that my friend Muna from Portland, who remembers Bill, and I said I had to talk about Bill tomorrow on this meeting. What should I say? And she said, you should say Bill lived his life like art. And he was so curious about everybody that he made everybody curious about themselves. And I think that's a pretty good way to remember Bill. He just had an endless curiosity and ability to connect with people where they were at, what they were into and what they believed in. So that's my remembrance. But I do want to, there will be a more formal or at least a more celebratory gathering. And I don't have the details, but I think the plan is to wait till after the holidays when people are back from travels to get together and remember Bill, who told my daughter, I want you to remember me. I don't want you standing around with black clothes and crying. I want you to have a party. So details should be coming soon.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. Does anybody else want to make any comments? Okay, and we also recently, kind of at the end of last month, Darcy Meeker passed. And I know that Liz isn't here. Liz Stallings has worked very closely with her for years, and she did coordinate the memorial last weekend. I don't know if anyone was able to go to that in Blacksburg. Anybody? Well, Darcy was pretty special, and she was involved in the Parks and Arts program that that the city pulled together years ago, and had the color project. Came to change careers late in life, became an artist, was inspiring. Over many obstacles. She'd had a stroke and had MS, and just kept doing it. Just kept doing it. Really special lady. Yeah. All right. We'll move to our updates. I do want to make a note that we've had some schedule changes. We did really well to put together a kind of a semester by semester schedule. It doesn't mean it's not subject to change. So next week, the class is full. Catherine's got her second arts and business workshop, and that we closed that today. And then on the following Tuesday, we're going to do an Art Matters session. So we've got new Art Matters grantees. We'll pop on, we'll answer questions, we'll let people talk about their projects and make connections, much like we're doing here tonight. And then on 12/5, that's the wrong date. It's 12/13. I've got some kind of mental block about that. It's 12/13, Tuesday, 12/13. We're going to do a winter social. And so more details will be coming very soon with that. I've called a couple of spaces and might follow up with one or two of you after I hear back from them. So that's the upcoming schedule. December 2nd, I don't know how we're already coming up on next week coming up on another Art by Night, but Art by Night will be happening. Again, you can find information about the galleries at the Downtown Roanoke Arts Collective on their website. They're kind of pulling everything together, which is great. Additionally, folks have, I think maybe some folks here, maybe not in this group, but some folks of our network have reached out to Annie and at Art on First and are going to be part of that. I heard from somebody who is very new coming into the Year of the Artist Network, and it's just starting kind of to dive in more deeply with her artistic practice, and she's going to be in that show. She was so excited. So that show is for more emerging artists, and we're happy to have that opportunity. Now, the Elmwood Art Walk. As of tomorrow, we are going to have the new call out for sculpture on Elmwood, in Elmwood Park on the Elmwood Art Walk. And our theme this time is going to be Artist at Work. I think there's an S on that, artist, but I didn't put the S on there. So no, maybe it is singular, Artist at Work. So the theme is we're still in the Year of the Artist, and we are building, this is going to be our culminating exhibit. We started with that self-portrait project, and it will culminate in the sculpture call. So every 2 years, we put a temporary call out for sculpture on the Elmwood Park Art Walk. And this year, it's time to do it again. And so we're going to have at least 8 pieces that will be chosen. Those will be on the theme, Artist at Work. I'll talk more about that in a second. You're hearing about it first here tonight. It's not been released yet, but last time we had half and half. We had half works by local artists and half works by national artists. And we hope to keep that kind of that same pattern going. And again, we do have a whole series that we did 2 years ago when we did last put out this call. And Jane was active in those series, kind of attending those. And we talked about insurance for artists, and we talked about had Ann Glover talk about her project and working on a temporary piece for the art walk. We also had an artist, David Sheldon, talk about working with a fabricator and how to go about that process. So we do think that there's lots of opportunity for our artists to work with a local fabricator and create a piece for the art walk. This year, the amount has gone up a little bit. It's $4,500 that we'll pay for a 2-year. That's a 2-year lease on the piece. Then you get to keep the piece, and you might be able to rent that to another community, say. And then let's see. So in the kind of that Artist at Work concept, I just want to run through this real quickly. We want people to consider the broad array of artistic pursuits. What does it mean to be an artist? It's a big, broad realm that includes visual, performing, literary arts, as well as traditional craft, functional art, and industrial design. Imagery that moves beyond the immediate, recognizable, popular notion of the artist. How the artist takes inspiration from places and the people around them. The artist's engagement in the world. How the artist shapes the community through their work. And then even the implements of art that testify to the act and possibility of creation. So there are lots of ways you could take this call, but we want to go ahead and put that out there in your mind, so you can noodle over it. And the call, this is going to be due at the end of January 27th. And you can submit up to 3 concepts if you're selected, and it'll be a pretty quick selection process. We'll have the panel meet that first week in February. The Arts Commission will you'll go through the process. The Arts Commission, I think on the 21st of February, will make the approval of it. And so then you'll get March, April, and middle of May or so, the piece would be due. All right. Another note, as we're looking at some of especially tonight, talking about the artists in residence and kind of embedded process and applying their creative process in a civic space. We do have a couple of tools on the resource page. That problem solving guide that's done from the International City Managers Association is really good. And that Arts and Social Impact Explorer is a lot of fun to fiddle around with. And it's got great ideas kind of for just prompting some responses. All right, so tonight that's it for everything. Now we're going to just kind of go through let artists present a little bit. Just and this can be really informal. We can talk about what you're working on. If there's a way other artists can get connected in it, that's terrific. I've told folks I can share my screen, and it'll just take me a little bit of maneuvering to do that, but I don't think it'll take much at all. And we'll just run through this alphabetically, if that's okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can look at your good-looking faces. There you are. All right. So, Brian, do you want to start us off?
Sure, I can. Yeah, it's always tough going first, isn't it? Well, I'm going to report on my artists in residence in Southeast. And mostly what I've been trying to do is try to get to know the neighborhood a bit more. Of course, Sunny Purveyance has been fantastic, and I've done a lot with the Plockers, getting to see the neighborhood that way. There's a building that I think I mentioned in maybe the last time, but at least on my reports I have on 9th Street that is, what's it called? The artists workshop or something like that. It's been a vacant space. Actually, it's been full of furniture for about 10 years, and it's just up for rent. So I reached out through the realtor to talk to the owner, and I think they're actually selling that building, but I did ask if I could be in there for December and set up sort of a maker's a make, take, and meet the artist opportunity for 3 Saturdays in December. So I've got the insurance that covers it, which is really exciting for me because ever since I was doing Marginal Arts Festival, the thing that really drove me nuts is that there's empty buildings all over Roanoke, but you can't go into the building because the owners usually does not want artists in there without insurance coverage. And the insurance coverage is usually $200 or something for 1-day event, which, you know, it's prohibitive for an artist is usually just using the window display space. But for this insurance I got, which covers my parade and pop-ups for the year, I'm able to go in there and do that. So I'm pretty excited about this, and hopefully it's something that other artists might want to do as well. It's just $400 for the year, and it covers my parade and covers when I do pop-ups. So it's kind of crazy.
That's fantastic. I was hearing $1,000 or so for kind of.
I was thinking too. Yeah, I was thinking it was just not going to be possible. But they said it was a really great deal. I looked at it. I talked about what I needed, and so hopefully, well, we'll see. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. You know, the other shoe is always going to drop on this, but so far, it's something we needed for a long time. So I have this for a year, and hopefully I'm going to tiptoe into it in December. My plan is to go in there on Saturdays from about 4 to 7, have just sort of index cards and ask people what are the things that they wish for that have to do with social justice and so on. The lady that I'm going to rent it from, she has a rare bone disease, and so she's moved back from Roanoke. She hasn't lived here for a long time. Her father just died, and so she's inherited that building from her father and had it emptied out. And she's a lovely lady. So we talked a lot about what she had difficulty with her rare disease, that she doesn't have insurance coverage for it. And so it's been really tough for her. So I thought it'd be really good to just record this chat and talk about the things she's hoping for and what she considers would be good justice, and then have that just post-it notes stuck on the wall as they come by. and encourage everyone who comes in to make something and take a little gift, to just tell me what they'd like to share with the neighbors. I'm also reached out to United Way. Sorry, it's been a long day. And United Way is working with someone from Virginia Tech who's doing a similar sort of program that they've done it in the county, and they'd like to do something more local in the city. So now that I've got the insurance today, I'm going to go see if I can hand out some of the information or work with someone from United Way to come to that too. It's only as big as a small living room, really, the space is. So it's just going to be a table, some drawing paper. I'll invite kids to, and adults if they want, to just draw pictures, stick them on the wall, write things on Post-it notes, and just sort of share a conversation. Probably have some hot cider if that's available. So that's it for 3 Saturdays in December, probably from 4 to 7. That's my plan, and hopefully do it again in January or February. So
fantastic.
Thanks.
And I've got some thoughts. I want to see if anybody has any questions or comments for Brian.
Oh, Jane says to come and play. I want everyone to come and play. Yes, that would be great. Yeah.
And then do you have the actual address of it? I think it's in your.
Yeah, I can send out the address because I'd like to advertise it. I have to do a little flyer. I'll send it out to the YOTA and then let everyone know it. But it's I think it's 1129 9th Street.
Okay.
Not too far away from Fishwick Schools and on the crest of the hill there.
Good. Yeah, great. Well, I've got a bunch of thoughts. I know Bebe put in the chat. Can you share who you did your insurance through? I think a number of people would like to hear
Yeah,
that.
it's Robin Deathridge with Trust. Let me see if I have it. Trust Point, I think it's. Yeah, it just you have my email. Just email me and I'll send you what I have and more details on what it's actually called. It's called a blanket insurance. And I had to go and register under, I love this. It was for a business. So you had to do a fictitious name, which sounded really sketchy, but I registered with Virginia, fictitious name, wasn't crooked, cost $10. And so then I was able to get this insurance because you had to be a business that way. But yeah, I'll be glad to talk to anyone about it. And maybe you could tell me more about it because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Bebe's got her fictitious name and everybody's curious as to what your fictitious name is. I know. Yeah.
Oh, I did Southeast resident artist. It's my fictitious name. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I could weigh in on that. You have to have a fictitious name if you are doing business in any name. Like you can't just say Catherine Devine. So for me, it's Catherine Devine Studios is my fictitious name. It's like a legal term, but you do have to have that before you can get liability insurance or a lot of other kind of bureaucratic steps.
Well, hopefully, I'm excited by it because I think this is something that has been always an obstacle, and I think this will be a good solution.
And so we have vacant buildings, derelict buildings that can be activated in some way. And people say, yes, let's even just get something in the windows. Let's liven the place up. Let's clean the windows and put something in there. And you're right, that is often a barrier. So that seems like a terrific breakthrough. Now, Lacey Leonard is not able to be on tonight. She's also a neighborhood artist in residence. I said I was going to go alphabetically, but now I'm going like, maybe it feels better to popcorn. So I won't popcorn to Lacey, but I am thinking about Polly. now Polly is looking at the neighborhood centers. And 9th Street is one of those neighborhood centers that the city has done a study, is just completing a study saying, okay, what makes these places special, whether it's Wasena or Crystal Spring or Grandin, and how can we have these all over the city? And activation of a space like that, like Brian just talked about, is one aspect of it. Polly, let me turn it to you and hear what's happening in your world.
Thank you. So I've only had a chance to meet with the neighborhood modeling committee a couple of times, and have been fascinated by seeing which representatives from the city are involved in from the management and planning and economics, and witnessing their process of hiring a firm from Richmond to do the assessments of different neighborhoods and being welcome to make comments. I told them that I was interested in more than just a mural, or though a sculpture or mural, could be I would be happy to be a part of that if that became something that one of the areas of interest needed or the people of that neighborhood wanted. It was fascinating to me also because they agreed, as is the city's 2040 plan of equity and inclusion, that Gainsborough is a unique neighborhood, and one that I had been researching and working with grassroots groups with, or gathering information with, and pondering the questions of here's a need and how do we implement getting it accomplished. And so that's an ongoing question. And so one of the ways that I, as an artist, start unraveling my own inquiries as well as social inquiries is to do mapping. There's one funny looking mapping there. I did a cartoon of the neighborhood of Gainsborough. It's at the library right now, but so that people could come by and pin on little stickers as to what some of the needs have been spoken over the years: playground, grocery store, clinic, etc., Black businesses, and access or assets to properties. And so that's where I want to go with it. I'm still in the process of gathering information, finding who wants to talk about what, when. I did make a little video a couple of years ago. You want to see that? You share a screen, or?
Sure.
Let's see.
And I'm gonna
Do I share screen, or you?
no, I do. I just have to find the right button, and I have to find you on the list. Let's see.
So the question to me was, what if? So the first video I made was with Jordan Bell and some of his photos of the history of Gainsborough and what was lost. And then I edited it out, and it's still awkward, and I haven't really shared it. But it was my questioning. And so maybe you can give me some thoughts about how I could possibly use it or not. But I do have it queued up, believe it or not, if it works.
And
Shall
you're
we go for it?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. Can you see something?
No, you just have to share your screen, and it'll give you options. You have to choose it from choose that window once you hit share screen. There you go. Look, we're getting.
You see something?
Sure do.
Where dozens of shops and restaurants and performance arts
you may have to provide the narration.
Oh, so you don't hear anything?
No,
Okay. Well, so I'm asking the what if question. What if this lot was a building? What if this lot was a space for the grocery store? Other lots that you can see and photograph and dream about. So in the beginning of the little video, it was talking about you know, what can we dream about? Can the Dumas Arts and Culture Center provide classes and performances again? How can we use the space collectively? How can we celebrate what is now a living community? So I apologize. I was listening to it. I guess you weren't, couldn't hear it.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see, do I stop share, new share? Stop. Can you stop it?
I think you have to stop it. I can try, but let me see. Yep, I did it. I got the power.
So, so that's more, specifically about Gainsborough, gathering information about other neighborhoods. I've worked in, Southeast and Southwest in other years past, and recognized the, incredible potential of people coming together using the arts, to dream and imagine and, exercise our co-creative potentials once we recognize our empowerment to do so. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about all the different ways people are connecting and redefining our powers together, and activating spaces really is fun. I experienced under the Memorial Bridge and how that's continued 2 years later. And so, yeah, I'm going to see where it goes and see how to make those connections and find the inquiry people, and how to perhaps use some of the intention on that focusing in certain areas to perhaps collaborate with others. So I've talked with Brian, for example, regarding the parade route and how it could possibly go through Henry Street and maybe pause for, or maybe one of my residency project proposals was to have a little festival with the community there, and emphasize this visioning process.
Great. Thanks, Polly. And now that report, I want to do a couple of things. One, that report that is coming out, the consultants are going to present that to council with economic development on December 5th. So you can, if anybody's interested in that and interested in this kind of activation of space, that's going to happen. It'll be a 2:00 meeting, but you can watch it on Facebook. Remember, all the city council meetings are available that way. And then I also wanted to, Mandy, if you're available to pop on, I had asked you to. I'm going to ask you to unmute. I'm going to press the button. It says ask to unmute. I'm not sure if you're where you can pop on, but Mandy is now in economic development and she's on the call tonight. And she's working in that community development space with economic development. So Polly, I'm going to get you connected with Mandy. Mandy's been at the city about a month now, and has great background. She was on the board down in Martinsville with the Uptown Partnership, doing some work with space activation, and they were doing some good things. So she's got some experience there as well. So I don't think she's able to pop on. I put her on the spot. So she's not able to pop on, but we're looking forward to Mandy digging in. And I think this is pretty exciting. The city has not been so much in the community development space. Community development's a little bit of planning, it's a little economic development, but it's really about potential and doing things with people to make the community a better space. And I think Mandy's well suited in that arena. So I'll connect you later, and then I'll also I'm going to keep popcorning. And you mentioned Gainsborough, and you mentioned Jordan. So let's go to Jordan and hear what's happening in his world. And I think, Jordan, you might have sent me a note saying that you sent me a picture. Somebody did. Let's see, Jordan, are you on? He may not. I'm not having good luck calling on people tonight. Okay, so Jordan, we'll come back to you. All right, Christine, how about you? Do you want to go next?
Sure. Okay, I do have a slideshow. I have a lot to show you all. So could you?
I am. I'm going to get good at this by the end of the night. I've now made you a co-host.
All right. All right, so let's see, here we go. Share. Can you see the stormwater thing? Yeah, okay. All right, so there's gonna be a lot of information in here, so I'm gonna zoom through it to try to to keep the time down a little bit, but I have some links at the end if you want to look up more about some of the things I'm talking about, including a lot of information about stormwater. So I'm working with stormwater utility. In general, they exist to control and eliminate stormwater pollution. I'm working with Rachel and Mackenzie, who are fantastic. But here's a few things that they do. They're definitely involved in education about pollution, climate change, microplastics, rain barrels, flooding, and so many other things. But they're also involved in a lot of cleaning, street cleaning. They organize cleanups. They have to adopt a street program. They do, let me see, I need to move, I can't, there we go. Okay. They test the water in a couple of different ways. This is when I was out in the collection with Rachel collecting benthic macroinvertebrates, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And a moment, please. There we go. They do stream restoration, inspections, cleaning, and infrastructure, as you see in the top right-hand corner. And I've learned a lot so far. So the big thing that I learned is that they're separate systems. So, let's see. Yeah. So I don't think I've thought about it that much, but the stormwater goes into a separate system than our sewer system. So it's not treated. So everything that goes, everything that's on the land will go into our water system. And unfortunately, the health of the Roanoke River is impaired. So that's something that they have to keep an eye on and work to fix. So here's a list, things you might not think about, things you might think about: dog poop, fertilizing the lawn, street oils, cleaning agents, even leaves and lawn clippings are problematic. I learned about how to do this, how to evaluate the health of a waterway. So basically you collect a sample of the little critters, and then you count them all, and then the ones that are more sensitive to pollution you record, and the ones that are less sensitive to pollution you record, and then once you crunch all the numbers, you come up with a formula that determines whether the waterway is problematic or not. And then I learned that microplastics are not good. I would love to do a project about this someday, but I'm not sure if that's going to be on the table for right now, but it's really made it clear how bad plastic is, especially when it starts breaking down and it ends up getting into our bodies and it doesn't leave. And then how quickly you can float away in floods around here, and flooding's a big problem. So I'm definitely going to be doing something about this. This is in front of my house, and so I get to witness it firsthand. I was surprised to see that 6 inches of water can knock you over, 12 inches of water can float away most cars, and at 2 feet, it's going to take away a lot of things. But as you can see here, Once the water is even up a couple of inches over the sidewalk, cars will still go through it if they aren't paying attention, or the signs aren't out, or they don't think it's that bad, but the car in the middle stalled out and the water wasn't even that deep. And there have been a couple of rescues in front of my house where the car will just stall. So I really want to place a lot of emphasis on this for this year. In my creative investigations, those were things I learned with stormwater. And for me, I'm learning a lot about the GoPro because it's waterproof, so I can film things in water, which is awesome. I'm learning a little bit more about video editing. I'm learning about stitching together things in Photoshop, which I've already done, but making larger things, banners, scaling up. And then I'm testing anthotypes and cyanotypes, which I'll talk about in a second. And then I've also learned that my vision is probably the case with a lot of you or all of you. My vision is way bigger than my time and my budget, unfortunately. And that's one thing I have to grapple with. So my next steps, I've been thinking about what I do is IDS, this weird acronym for Information Delivery System. So everything I've done probably in the past decade has been about taking information, making a project about it, and using that to talk about things and to share facts and raise awareness. So for this project, for this year, with working with stormwater, I want to focus on pollution, flooding, and outreach. So I've been testing a lot of things and processes and approaches from July through October, including video, including scanning, and like I said, trash and big banners, and that's a cyanotype experiment in the top corner. And then we did a trial run at GoFest. So Stormwater had a booth, and then I made some postcards with a little benthics, and I put the big banners in the background in the booth there. That's Mackenzie. And then I brought some examples of anthotypes, which are plant-based photos, and I had a lot of questions about that. So that was fun to try those things out. We learned a lot, and we are going to talk at some point about where we want to go with some of these projects and how we might want to scale up. We're aiming possibly for the Earth Day, and they're going to have a booth at Brandon for Earth. I think there's a festival for Earth Day. So I'm planning for something to happen in April. It might not just be at the booth, it might be broader. Likely will be broader. So the project's a little bit more detail about the project. So the trash that I used in this banner and some of these images that was collected as part of the Tinker Creek cleanup that we had, I think it was in August, and I used my front lawn as an impromptu studio area where I kept the trash and let the trash dry before I brought it in to scan. So that's what you see at the top there. And then the bottom left is an example of when I started stitching it together, because you can only scan so much. And so in order to make a really long image, I have to scan and then put them together in Photoshop. And that's the banner on the ground to the right that was in the booth. And then the questions I have that I'm going to talk to Stormwater about is like, what are our goals with this? What's the effectiveness of the scale? Should we make it bigger? Should we keep them as the sandwich boards? Where should we put these? And so on and so forth. So those are the questions I'd like to start thinking about. Here are the images that were on the sandwich boards. I didn't have a picture of that in front of the booth. I love these because they're right in your face, and people were able to walk up to them and look at the label that explained the project and identify some of the things in here, including that funky diaper on the left. And then I was able to compose too, so I start thinking of these as still, to me, I think I love the way they look. Think of these as still lifes, but my goal is to draw people in and then start the conversation. And here's the benthics, which I'm so pleased that I love the way they turned out, but I was also excited that Rachel was really excited about how they turned out. And so these things are really tiny, and you can see the scanning bed in the middle bottom there. So you can barely see it on the scanner, and I can only blow them up so far, but they're big enough so you can see. So not quite like looking through a microscope, but big enough. And so these are little itty bitty things that we collected from the river, and she had some specimens. The one on the top right it looks like it's waving. So I just put together the greetings from the Roanoke River. People loved them. We handed them out. I put stamps on the back. And the name of them on the back and how they feed and their sensitivity to pollution. And next time, a slight omission, we didn't put anything about stormwater or the program. So now we know to do that next time. And then maybe make a postcard set or something like that. And then I want to go, this is my own personal vision. I want to gobo with a light, like a bat signal with one of these critters on it, and maybe shine a light somewhere to draw attention, or so stormwater can use in some of their events. And then flooding, this map is on their website, and all of the orange marks are where it floods in Roanoke. So I'm starting to do site visits and see what those look like. The front of my house is on there, and I've been to a couple other places. And this is let me see here. I'm gonna move. Let's see what I play. Oh, there we go. So I want to do time lapses in front of the house. This is the first one I did. And then I did one recently. My goal is I'm strapping the GoPro to a pole, and my goal is to have the water rise on the street and go over the GoPro, and then come back down so you can see when it floods. And so that's a couple things I'm playing with. And I've been to the Roanoke River, and I'm throwing the GoPro in there and recording some video, and I'm having a ton of fun with that. So we'll see where that goes. Whether that's something I do within this year or just start on it, and maybe it could be part of they're talking about a Flood of '85 show in a couple of years for that anniversary, and maybe it could end up being part of that. And then one last thing. So the anthotypes are plant-based photos. So basically you can see the top left, you just grind up some sort of plant matter and you strain it. And then that liquid is what you coat on paper. And then you put an object, or you put a positive, like a transparency on top of it, and you expose it in the sun for hours or days or weeks or months. And then the sun bleaches out the material, and it leaves the impression of what you put on top. They do fade, but they are purely plant-based. And then cyanotypes, which I don't have an example here, can be toned with plant material as well to change the color. And people were really interested in this at GoFest. And so we started talking about maybe a workshop, that, we have to figure out plans and details, and it can also connect, like we could have it maybe near a creek, or it can connect to the idea of buffer zones in which plants are so vital to filtering water as it comes through, slowing flooding, and repairing water systems. So I think there's definitely some tie in there. And that's it. I'm not sure about opportunity for help, but I'll keep thinking about it maybe down the road. If you know of anyone that should know what if you want to let me know if there's somebody that should know what I'm up to, just to have a conversation, let me know. And then thank you for listening. Here's the Stormwater website. Their publication has a ton of great information. And then if you want to connect with me, I have a website, and I have a contact form on there. You can send me information through there, and I have an Instagram as well. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I love
Do
it. I love how curiosity, I can see your curiosity taking you in so many different directions. And yeah, and then I saw the curiosity of kids and people passing at GoFest. I was really kind of I was really pleasantly surprised at how engaged people were. I mean, that truth was busy the entire time. Yeah.
It was something else. And Rachel and Mackenzie are fantastic. They just are so engaging with everybody. Yeah, they had stickers, they had bags for dog poop, they had totes for your groceries. It was great. A lot of questions, a lot of curiosity. It was awesome.
Yeah, terrific. Well, thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Simone, how about if we hop over to you next? Are you? I might have, did I catch you off guard? Let's see. I have to ask you to unmute.
No, that's cool. I'm ready to go, I think.
Great.
Okay, can I share my screen? Host disable. Oh, you've got
I'm gonna invite you right now.
Thank you. There we go. There it is. That's what I want to do. And let me put that on presentation mode. Okay, so you could see that. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
So I've been working with the Envision Centre to develop a program for the neighborhood children, and it's called Dreamin' Big Art Project. We launched it in August. Sorry, these screens are a bit busy with all the photographs, but we launched it by bringing Norma, the art car from Olin Hall Galleries, this car that's graffitied, and I had little die cuts of the car where the kids could add their own graffiti to theirs. So that was the launch of the program. And I had proposed that we'd have 4 different seasons, but you know, all the best laid plans. So the classes were designed to be inside the Envision Centre, but the renovations for the Envision Centre were ongoing. And so I decided to do a couple of their art projects outside. This is the first session where we were building a sacred space. I was working off the Aboriginal culture from Australia that believe it's about creation and about the special time of dream time. It's a sacred time. And the way that they make marks and teach their children is to draw into the sand and teach onto the sand, and the different shapes represent people, and you get to represent your ancestors. So we built this sacred space, and it was planned that we would work on this big tarpaulin to produce communal artworks. And so the first communal artwork was to do a rainbow, being inspired by Dr. Maya Angelou, and we did prints. But halfway, I'm going to say thank you to Jane for taking these photographs on the day. She was a real trooper, came out to photograph and work as the artist assistant, putting out paint. You know, it was really helpful. But this second session outdoors, the wind whipped up and just caused havoc and blew over the paints and nearly injured one of the little children. So I thought, this is not good. These activities were designed to be indoors, and I didn't want to put anybody at risk. So after thinking about it for some time, I decided that I had to do something with the cyclone fence. Do you call it cyclone fence here? This wire fence. It's not a very nice fence around the park, but I used the cups to create a sausage dog. And so during the month of September, every Thursday, I went there with my little dog Opie as we built the sausage dog and picked up trash in the park and just made connections to the children who walked through the park in the afternoon. I had a lot of really great conversations. I've learnt the names of many of the children there. And what happened was the wind blew away some of the paper cups, and Polly worked with some of the kids to put the sausage dog back together. And so in my mind, I could see that the sausage dog was now running like so that lasted till September, when the weather started to turn. I took it down so that there were not paper cups littering. So the Envision Centre did open on the beginning of October, but it didn't have a certificate of occupation. So I still couldn't go in there to teach, but they said, well, why don't you come into Lansdowne? You can use our board room there. And I reassessed the program that I had devised and realized that I needed it to be more connected to what was actually happening in the neighborhood. They had planned a Halloween festival, but that got cancelled. But I went ahead and did the activities that I had planned, and the kids really seemed to enjoy taking stuff home with them, especially, you know, these little bat boxes, and we filled it with candy. All of these activities that I'm going to show you, there was a lot of sort of back preparation time. So I work out that I spend about 12 to 15 hours a week on my residency, just to give you an idea. So this was the second activity in October where we talked about spiders. And I was connecting it to what I was writing before in terms of dream time and the connection to the animal world. And we also talked about fractions, and because we had to cut pipe cleaners in half, and we also talked about pairs. I only had 2 people on this event, and the one little girl couldn't understand the concept of pairs. She goes, no, but pairs is what you eat. And I said, well, you have a pair of legs, so that's 1, 2, and a pair of arms, so that the spider has 4 pairs. So, but we did a lot of counting, and built little pumpkins as well as the spider and the nest. The following week, we moved to talking about birds, and in particular, the birds of Virginia. And I took my cardinal bird sculpture in there, and we put it out the front in the hope of drawing more children to come in and participate. But unfortunately, we had no participants for this day, which was a real shame, because I really enjoyed this exercise. But, you know, I went out into the woods and collected little gum nuts and things, and we, you know, turned it into the owl, particularly like the owl. Then the following week, one of my projects for the first semester, the first session, was distributing sketchbooks. Where we personalized the front of the sketchbook by doing handprints and then making lines with the overlapping pattern. I didn't have any children, but I had 2 staff members who came to join, and this is Raven and Suzette. And I talked to them about, you know, making lines and creating patterns, and how your emotions can be regulated, and you can release stress by doing this work, and you lose track of time. After 2 hours, I said, well, you know, I've got to pack up now. And they said, what? And I said, well, you've been here for 2 hours. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. They thought, oh, this is just amazing. So they enjoyed it, which was kind of, that felt good. I moved on now. We're moving into preparing for Thanksgiving. We made some Thanksgiving cards. I didn't have any children turn up for that, but Holly and her gang were harvesting the garden across the road. So I was able to make a few cards, and we put candy in there, and I went over and talked to some of the teenagers who I'd met before, who were really just lovely, and ate a raw radish from the garden. So I had a good time. From the cards that we didn't get to make, I made kits. A few of the staff have young children, and they were very happy to get these card kits. Also, there were some 3-year-olds in the building, and I was able to give them a kit to take home to make their own Thanksgiving cards. And so last week was the final preparation for Thanksgiving, where we made corn and tabletop decorations. And again, I didn't have any children, but I had staff members. And I read something the other day about purpose, and purpose is sometimes what people are asking you to do. And so twice now, I've had groups of people asking me to run creative workshops for adults in some way. And the staff members here expressed, look, you know, I think we need something for us, because, you know, whenever any staff member walks by, they're so excited and say, oh, can I come in? Can I please come in? I go, yes, come in. We've got snacks. The children aren't here. Have a snack. Make some art for a little while. These are quick activities. But making the corn was fabulous. This Indian corn with pipe cleaners and beads was a really enjoyable activity. So stemming from that, I talked with my partner there, and we have, I came up with a proposal for a wellness workshop about decompression, centering, and enhanced activity. And the gist of this is more in line with the actual artwork that I do, where I work with the chakra system. And so this is a series of activities that change your energy via action. So this is what we're proposing for December, and we're going to look for staff members to sign up for this. We're going to set it during a lunch hour. And in the new year, I'm going to teach a session over at Melrose Library. And then in February, we will start teaching inside the Envision Center for Children. So finally, in February, I will be able to teach classes in the space. So it's been a challenge, but I've got to say, every day that I go to Melrose, I always have a wonderful time. I meet amazing people. I have great conversations, and I feel like I'm one of the gang now. Like, you know, oh, they expect, oh, see you next week, Simone. So I'm really feeling part of that community, and I just really enjoy the conversations I've had and the people who I've met. So that's it.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you for your tenacity, your creativity, your energy, and your passion and compassion around this. I would be interested to see how your your shift into the working with adults. You know, you're working basically, it's an intervention project, and a point was chosen. You know, let's intervene with young people who young people, by putting a positive influence, an arts-based influence in their daily lives there at the Envision Center. That's just one intervention point. The intervention point with adults is it's a different point, and it might have much effect as well. So I'll be interested to watch how that plays out. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd be interested too.
Yeah.
The biggest shock to me is that, I mean, you know, art is like everything to me. And I'm always kind of shocked when people don't have art in their lives. So getting that opportunity to share that with as many people as possible, I think is a good thing, even though it didn't come out as planned, but it's coming out the way that it should. And I feel really happy about that.
Thanks for modeling that. Let's see, and Robin.
So hi Simone. I just wanted to say kudos to you for what you're doing. And I wanted to make a statement that I heard in the community a while ago. Someone said, would children in Northwest be interested in art programs? And how do you answer that? You don't really know what a child would be interested in until they're actually exposed to it. So even though it's starting off slow and the numbers aren't there, I just say keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing. And I think if you build it, they will come. So that's what I would say.
Great. Robin, why you got the floor? You want to keep going and tell us about what's happening with you?
Figured that was going to happen if I said something. So yeah, I can definitely do that. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share my screen.
Excellent. You are the co-host.
Okay. A little laggy here. Give me a second. Where are we? I think this is it. Can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Am I frozen?
There, it says you, there it is. Now it's showing up on mine. I probably have a lag on my end.
Okay. So sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. It looks like this is just maybe just over here, but we'll see what happens. I am Robin Mitchell, and I am the artist in residence for the Eureka Park project, which is the development of a new community center, recreation center that will be in Northwest Roanoke in the current location of the current Eureka Park Recreation Center. And this is a project that is going to be developing over the course of actually a couple of years. So we're just currently in the engagement phase. And so I hope that you can still see my screen. I don't know if it's acting wonky for you all, but it's acting kind of wonky for me. Let me see if we can get it back. So the cities, and if you can't hear me or if there's anything going wrong on my end presenting, just let me know so that I can try to reel it back in. So the Roanoke City's Parks and Recreation Department has been committed to building a welcoming community through play. And some of their key components in that is local inquiry and exploration. To me, when they are looking to build this welcoming community, this means engagement. This means getting the community involved, getting them energized, getting them geared up for something exciting, whether they know what's coming or whether whether it's alluded that something is coming, but just building that engagement and excitement around the project or what's to come. So Roanoke City is getting ready to break ground on a new recreation center. But just to give a little bit of backstory about the park. So Eureka Park's Rec Center has been situated in Northwest Roanoke. It sits between the streets of Staunton and Grayson, I believe, and in between 15th Street and somewhere around 14th or 13th Street, depending on how those blocks are situated. This is a big, as far as landmass, it's probably one of the largest landmass parks in the city. And it's one of the oldest recreation centers in the city, as it was one of the first that was built in 1965. Just a little bit of backstory. If you know about Northwest Roanoke, Northwest Roanoke is a inner city community. There is for this particular area where the park is located, it is a very densely populated area for the Black community in Roanoke. And just for backstory on that, it was not always that way. I would say before 1965, the demographic makeup of that community was totally different. And you can learn a little bit about the history of that through some of the projects like what Polly is working on and what Jordan is working on with urban renewal and the shift that kind of happened around that time. So it's a very old park, very old community, and one of the oldest rec centers in our area. And the city has decided to bring some vibrancy back by giving us a new rec center, a new community center here in Northwest Roanoke. So just, I don't know if it's going to progress to the next one or not, or how it's acting a little delayed on my end. Let me see if I can get it to progress. Okay, so meet the artist in residence. I am a Roanoke native. I grew up in Northwest. I'm a Parks and Rec kid. I went to camp at Eureka Park. I played at Eureka Park, went to activities at Eureka Park throughout my adolescence. This thing is just it has a mind of its own right now. And by trade right now, I am a brand and digital artist. So I do branding and marketing and digital art for a lot of small businesses and local businesses. But at the heart of who I am, I'm a community advocate. And I love my community. I love Northwest Roanoke. I love pouring into Northwest Roanoke. And I love seeing emerging projects like this one coming out and things that the residents of Northwest Roanoke can get excited about. Because if you've driven through Northwest Roanoke, if you live in Northwest Roanoke, you may know that there's a lot of blight in the community. And I feel that this is going to be a beacon of light, a beacon of hope, and a beacon of, just the strength of the community and where we can go. I truly believe that that's what this project serves as. So I will be serving as the artist in residence, connecting neighbors to the development of the new Eureka Park Community Center, and mainly engaging them in conversation about what it is that they want to see in this new recreation center as it relates to art, or in or around the new recreation center as it relates to art, as well as what kind of programs that may be related to art that they would love to see in the new community center. So we're just really getting started. I've only been involved in about 2 meetings so far. And then coming up within the next few weeks is one of the first public community engagement sessions to hear from the community about what it is that you want in your new rec center. So on my next slide that we had bounced to earlier before I wanted to bounce there, we can get that taken now. Well, it may come up in a moment, but I'll just keep talking. So the canvas, there's this canvas. When we think of art, there is a canvas of where this new recreation center is going to be located. And it's not to, the project won't involve, tearing down the current recreation center to build this new recreation center. It will involve keeping the existing recreation center active and allowing it to still be in use. And we want the community to still engage and use that current rec center. We have some cool ideas of things that we can possibly do to kind of say goodbye to the old rec center. But that old rec center that we had on the first slide is going to remain open throughout the project, but the canvas for the new recreation center is the baseball diamond. So there is if you've been to Eureka Park, it is a beautiful, vast park. They have some beautiful trees, some beautiful scenery, beautiful views. And that new recreation center is going to be in the epicenter of all of that beauty. Just this inviting space for community engagement, community activities, and all of these things that just brighten and make the community a better place to live, work, and play. And so I got to thinking as the message went out that there is this community engagement coming up, and it was shared on social media. I saw many people, many friends and family and colleagues share the post, and some getting into nostalgic moments where they talked about what the park was to them growing up, what they did at the park, that, this was my childhood park. I'm excited to see that this is happening. So it brought me to the thought of Eureka Is. And for my engagement, I want this to be almost like the focal point is hearing from the community, the people who live around Eureka. What does Eureka Park mean to you? I've put up examples here of what Eureka Park means to me. As over the past 2 years, I've been involved with the Juneteenth project, working with Jordan Bell and other members in our community, and bringing the Juneteenth Festival to Eureka Park. So that's that collectivism, that coming together and being able to celebrate our community together. Eureka Park means everything to our community and means a lot to me. And so I want that to be a focal point of the engagement, is hearing from our community, what does Eureka Park mean to you? And then what do you want? What do you wish to see in this park in the coming years, in the coming months? And so that leads us to December 6th is the first community engagement meeting for the Eureka Rec Center development. And that's going to be held at the Melrose Branch Library in the community room at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. And it's Tuesday, December the 6th. It's going to go from 6 to 7:30. And as I reflect on the questions that were asked in the email for us to share in our presentation, one of the key things that I want to share as an opportunity for others, to help. One of the big ways you can help is to share information about the community engagement meetings and also show up. So if you have ideas for how we can integrate art into this new rec center, ideas how we can integrate art programs, or just things in general that you would like to see in the new community center, that would be most critical to me as the artist in residence at this point, at this present juncture. I've been in conversation with a few community members who I know use, work, and live, and who are passionate about this park, just to, get them to come out and be a part of that community engagement as well. And we're just excited to see what transpires over the next few months to year. This park is going to, the project itself is going to exceed, the time constraints of a year artist in residence. So I'm excited to see what happens after the artist in residency period passes, and just to see everything that we are able to come up with as a community for this particular project. And that concludes my presentation.
Terrific. Thank you, Robin. Yeah, I think that in that meeting on the 6th, that should be pretty energetic, I think. And there is a lot of excitement. Jordan, you got mentioned. If you're able to pop on, I do see that you sent me some pictures. I'm going to go and try and grab. There you are. Excellent. Let me let you go ahead and go, and I'll be pulling these pictures up.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I've been breaking up fights between 4-year-old and 8-year-olds all night, so that's why I've been in and out. But my name is, for those who do not know me, my name is Jordan Bell. Live in Northwest Roanoke, like Robin, and my project is I am the artist in residence with the Berglund Center, and my partnership is with the Berglund Center, Bryce Cobbs, and we are also working with Davy Ramey Jr. And his father was an artist here in Roanoke, and his father has a lot of paintings, hand drawings of old Gainsborough and Henry Street. And so my project is I have been sent out to collect the history and the stories of a neighborhood that many referred to as Northeast, but a few of the people who lived in Northeast referred to this area as Tank Town, and because there was 2 tanks in Northeast Roanoke, and Northeast Roanoke is everything from, I would say, where the interstate starts, where Jefferson Street is, North Jefferson Street, and all the way back to about Kimball Avenue. So that is Northeast Roanoke. From about in the early 1900s all the way up into the 1960s, that entire area was an entire neighborhood. Many different homes, many different businesses, churches and schools were all in that area. The photo that Doug is sharing, it's not the best photo, but it's the photo I could find. If you look to the left of your screen at the top, right in there, those are 2 homes that is in the current parking lot of the Berglund Center. And what happened is one of those homes was the home of a woman by the name of Kathleen Ross. And she was actually the last person to leave that area, to move away from that area. And urban renewal, which Robin talked about in her presentation, started in that area in 1955. So they were basically told that you have to leave this area, or we're going to, take your home to build the interstate and to build the civic center. And she didn't move until 1981. So she stayed there for about 30 years after they told her that she had to leave. And so, my job has been just collecting interviews, collecting stories, putting all of that together and giving all of that information to the artist, Bryce Cobbs, and he will be painting a mural on the Berglund Center property to honor the folks that lived and were raised in Northeast. So I've just been a researcher and a journalist throughout this whole process, collecting those stories and giving them to Bryce. But yes, if you did not know, that area that you're looking at now on the screen used to be an entire neighborhood filled with homes, a few churches. I know if you're familiar with the church Greater Mount Zion, if you're familiar with Pilgrim Baptist Church, High Street, all of those churches started in Northeast Roanoke, directly in the location of the picture that you're looking at right now. So that is my project. And I'm looking forward to seeing the mural on the Berglund Center parking lot. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone's project, be a success and come to fruition.
Thanks. Let's see, Jordan, you had another picture. Do I need to show that other picture? Or is it pretty similar?
It's pretty similar.
Okay.
It's pretty similar.
Yeah. This is, this happened all over the country. And policies help drive that. Local actions certainly drove that. And this can be incredibly powerful. I hope. Has anybody heard Jordan give a talk lately? Jordan has the last time I saw him, he got a standing ovation at the EJI kickoff event. It's just such an important story that's got to be told again and again and again. And there are people in the community who do not know it. And that's part of what has to happen. There is also talking about events coming up on December 1st. There's a listening session happening with the Equity and Empowerment Advisory Board, the City Council's advisory board, on the evening of the 1st. I'm going to send that information out as well. That crosses so many of these projects very intentionally, and there's so much happening and good things happening. They've got to be connected, and we've got to be, upfront and clear about why they have to happen now. But thank you, Jordan, for modeling the way for us. We really appreciate that. I got
Say hi, Brielle.
Hi. Hi.
All right, I just got bounced out. And let's see, Catherine, are you able to pop on?
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's late and we've all talked a lot, but I wanted to let Jordan know that as far as connections and kind of sharing between the art community and my residencies with Sister Cities, we had Bryce Cobbs as our guest artist in the municipal building yesterday evening. And that's been a really sweet collaboration between Sister Cities, which has their exhibit of the various different Sister Cities. And I've learned so much about the Sister.
This meeting is being recorded.
Like most of us, I never knew why we had a Wanju Street near Towers, so I'm kind of learning about the connections between the different Sister Cities. But having Bryce be able to come talk to representatives from Sister Cities, and for Bryce and the other artists to kind of hear about what Sister Cities histories is and their motto, which I've really taken to heart to get through my year of residency, which is promoting peace, one person, one community at a time. So just to see that kind of general statement that brings the Sister Cities community together, our community together, and then these natural overlapping people to people connections. So I feel like that's been my real gift, what I'm learning and what I'm experiencing. And I do want to give a shout out to Robin, because I wouldn't have known Robin if it wasn't for this network that's being created through working together, who did the Ginkgo Tree Festival flyer and such a beautiful job of that I'm already hearing people within Sister Cities talking about next year. We did this project and it was really out of their normal realm of connecting, working with the community. And for me personally, it feels like it was an experience of public art that people didn't have that label, but people came, they were in an experience that was like an immersive experience with nature and connecting between tree stewards and downtown Roanoke, and just really being in community without making a big deal about it, without even using the word, and it felt really genuine and was a great start. So I really want to thank you all for who were able to come and help get that project going. So that's my main thing that I wanted to share. And the other part, Doug, which I'm one of those artists that just really I'm always having to think about money, and money is not for sure for me. So the fact that paying artists is part of this program, and that I have a budget within this program to pay other artists, to be able to pay Robin for the flyer, to pay the musicians, to shop locally for materials that we can use. I mean, I really do feel like being able to talk about money, take it out of the realistic attitude that we need to be able to get paid for what we do, to be able to make the improvements that we can do. I just really want to acknowledge how important that is, to have that conversation too. So thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you for continuing that conversation with your workshops for artists exploring businesses. Yeah. All right, Samantha, what do you have happening?
So, hi, I know most of you, and I'm becoming good friends with a lot of you, I feel like, these days, which I'm very lucky. I am working on pulling all of your wonderful, beautiful, amazing stories together into something that we can show, that we can have as to reflect on as a city and personally, but also something that we can show the National Endowment for the Arts, for example, right, Doug? And kind of have this something, whether it's a book or a document or a catalog or a combination of all of the above, to show them this is what we did with this money, and this is the change that we have enacted, and these are the stories that we've told and the stories that we've heard and all of that kind of thing. So right now I'm kind of just listening and learning, and I'm not from Roanoke. This is my first year living as a permanent Roanoke resident. So I'm constantly learning all the time and meeting new people and kind of gathering those stories. So I'll be reaching out to all of you that had amazing presentations today to steal those from you. And putting all that together somehow. So by the end of this, we can have something that says, this is what we did. And these are the lessons that we learned. These are the things that went well. These are the things that went maybe not so well. And just show, I think, the power of the arts, because we're already seeing it with the power of informing people through the streams, the power of getting the community involved in learning about their community, and engaging like the staff members at the Envision Center, and having them take that time for themselves to make art, so much so that now you're offering them a class, Simone. So it's all really, really, really good stuff. So I'm trying to collect all of it. I've also been making a newsletter. So something that's on my list for the new year is to kind of think about how to make that better and how to reach more people, because I'm getting about 40% engagement, and I'm kind of just sending them out and not tweaking things. So I really need to sit down and look at things and go, okay, what are people looking at, and how do I get more people to look at things so I can promote all of the events that we're doing. What else do I have? Yeah, I think that's it. I did want to say that something that struck me yesterday when I was with Catherine, we were all standing in the basement of the municipal building where the self-portrait art has been relocated to. And there was a woman who was down there, and she ran by and she said, "This changes everything." She said, "I've been working in the municipal building basement," or she said, "I've been working in the basement for 10 years. And she said, this changes everything." And so it's just the little things, like being able to see art, that is wonderful and just great to look at and inspiring, and also making art. So there's so many things that are amazing that are happening, and those little anecdotes are what I'm looking for. So
and that first floor, which, thank you, is a basement. I don't know, the lighting is not as good down there, and maybe that is why art has never. There's one piece of art hanging down, or two pieces of art on that whole floor down in the basement, and I'm not sure why they never hung art there. But David Hill in the community, the landscape architect, says, an architect says, make your worst place your best place. And so we often keep investing in the best places. So I think a little bit about that kind of on the Greenway. We know the Greenway is a special place, and we're taking some spaces on there that need some improvement and making them better. But there are places that haven't been invested in that we need to be investing in. And that's what, and that translates in our community as well as equity moves. And that's what we've got to be focused on as well. They're great. They're really great places that just need to be loved a little bit more and invested in, and they haven't been invested in. So that basement is a good example of that. And the people who have been living down there and working down there, rather, without windows already, why haven't we given them art? Why? I've been in this job 3 years. Why haven't I gone down there and hung art on those walls? I didn't think about it. I just did not think about it. So there are lessons there for us. Jane, I know that you were going to have trouble tonight. I'm not sure if you're actually on here with us.
I am on here. I didn't know how my video was going to be, so I've got it off.
Oh, okay. And I'm not sure how I keep getting a bad signal. And I tried to play the YouTube with off my phone, the signal I'm working on. I won't be able to share it, but do you want to try and share it?
I can try.
Okay.
I can try. I'm working with the Gun Violence Prevention Commission. I'm still digging in on that and planning some projects for the spring that haven't quite come to completely into crystal vision. So for this, I took a step back to look inside about why this matters to me. And so I made a little video. So can I share? Yeah, you got me on here. So this is that. Where is it? Hang on, I'll find it. It's not letting me do it right off the photos. I guess I've got to get the YouTube video.
And we can also share the link if we want to, and folks can watch it on their own. I have it pulled up.
Well, if you got it pulled up, put the link in the chat so I can get to it real fast, and maybe
Okay,
I can play it from that.
I can do that.
That'd be perfect. So, there you are. Can you see it?
Mm-mm. Did you hit the share screen?
Maybe not. I bet I didn't. Ah! Hang on a second. That's what it was. Copy. All right. Close. Share content. Website URL. I'll get it. It's just that I don't do this every day.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the beginning. Can you hear it?
Is it playing on your end?
It is, but I can only hear it very, very, very faintly.
We're not seeing it or hearing it. We might have to have everybody take it and watch it on their own.
Okay, that's fine. I'm bummed, but oh well. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is.
Well, why don't you give us a little tell us a little about what your intention was with the video. So when we go watch it, it'll mean even more to us. Or maybe it's
oh
no.
I'm like I don't know how to get out of this now.
I can get you out of it. I got it.
Cool. I just don't understand why I can't share it off of this. It's really driving me crazy. I'm sure that if they look at the video, if they would like to look at the video, that it speaks for itself. It's just why I care about gun violence. And it'd be great if they'd like to look at it. I'd be happy for them to see it. And that's really all I got to say about the video. It is what it is, and yeah, that's all I think I need to say about it.
Well,
I can't believe.
I gotta ask you to share about your empathy project.
Well, that I can do. I could share a picture of that if you want.
Well, I gotta make you host again.
Sorry, I don't mean to be a problem child.
You are not at all. And I know you're traveling too and working off of your phone.
Right.
Zoom is a good platform, but sometimes not a great platform, especially when it comes to sharing things and doing the things.
Okay, so this is the empathy project. I've been working on this since, can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've been working on this since June. I partnered with Brian Brown Hancock, who's spoken word and written word artist, hip hop artist, many things. And the two of us with the gun violence task force, youth and gang violence task force, went and met with 3 families who'd lost someone to gun violence and heard their stories. And Brian worked up poetry around it, and I did these 3 murals. And they're all people from our community. And the whole idea of the Empathy Project is to tell one person's story in a way that another person can see it and hear it and grow their empathy for what has happened to them, for their pain, thereby growing our community and our empathy for one another. So this is a big deal. I have hundreds of hours in these things. I don't consider myself a portrait artist. That was tough. Hearing the stories from the families was life-changing. The pain that lingers even years and years after someone is killed by gun violence is just devastating to the families. So like, for instance, Markel Gertie, his little boy was just very young. And this is a drawing that the boy did while we were there. The kids came in and I just handed him some paper and sat down and drew with them. And this is the sketch that the little boy did. And his little girl, she was born after he was killed. But yeah, these stories, it's just really, this whole project speaks to how creative practice, art, music, lyric, poetry can convey stories. And it's important. It's important work. And to give the voice to the victims' families. I think it's some of the most important stuff I've ever done. Okay.
Well, I just want to say, having been able to go to the presentation, to the press release, and the families were there, and they were able to be the center of, the focused attention by the press and by you. And I remember just one person talking about how it was the first time they ever really felt seen, and how much that meant to them, for them to feel like they have been seen. So I was really touched by it. And I know a lot of people were that were able to be there. So I'm going to ask, and I guess keep us posted, how more people can learn about this, or where they'll be exhibited, or when Brian might be performing the written spoken word that goes along with these stories, so we can learn more about it.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to say that it's going to be expanding to Lamar, billboards around the city. It's also going to be a wrap in the concourse of the Berglund Center. And there's QR codes that accompany all the artwork, so anybody can hear Brian anywhere reading that work. So I look forward to it spreading around the city. We call this a pilot program to kind of see how it lands and the good it does, and go from there. But I'm hoping it'll expand.
Super. And I'm just watching you and that, kind of the pilot, putting your foot out there, saying, stretching, gosh, I mean, stretching yourself in so many ways. But the importance of the work, that it's important enough, you can do it, even though it's going to pull a lot out of you, and
right.
it's going to require so much, but it's so important for our community. Thank you. I look across all of these projects, all of the residencies, and just say, I can't imagine any one of the hosts where any one of you are placed saying anything other than, we need to always have an artist in residence in place. We need to always be doing this. We are different now because of this. That's what's going to happen. And again, we are doing the Year of the Artist because we want to change the way we do things. It's not a 1 year and done. We're applying for every NEA opportunity we can get. And we just found out last week that we got another $20,000 to continue this in an ongoing way next year. We'll match that. So we'll have $40,000 to put toward residencies, I think, in the way that that we structured it. So keep doing the good work. Thank you for taking the time tonight. Anything else before we close and let folks go?
Catherine, you haven't spoken.
You know, I'm here just to listen and take it all in, and I've been making little notes along the way, and I appreciate you inviting me to share for a moment. I am really struck by how everyone's projects are reflecting little seeds that they sprinkle, as opposed to, I did a thing and it's a big garden of flowers. Lots of organic connections and synchronicities and small accidental things. Those are really powerful. And I personally love being reminded of that. And I just have enjoyed having that come up in everything that everyone's saying. Different things that they didn't expect to happen are happening, and that's powerful. So that I appreciate. Thank you for including me in the conversation. I just love hearing it all. So
Excellent. Anything else? All right.
I don't know how I'm going to capture all of this because there is just so much good stuff that's happening. But I appreciate you all and congratulations thus far. And I'm really excited for the rest of the fiscal year. So.
Yeah, and it's Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for all of you for diving in, and I'm thankful. I know how many hours this is. More than, you're not getting paid by the hour on these things. You're putting much more than the minimum requirement, and you're putting much more. You're bringing all this heart and energy and excitement and enthusiasm and talent and skill and craft. So thank you. This Thanksgiving, I am thankful for you all. And with that, we will see you next week sometime soon.
okay.
Thank you, Doug.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.